Among My Souvenirs. Photoplay, December 1928. Harry Crocker opens the first museum dedicated to famous movie props. To your right, ladies and gentlemen, is the chariot used in Ben-Hur. And to your left is the costume made famous by Miss Gloria Swanson in Sadie Thompson. Hollywood has a new museum, unlike any other in the world. It is a collection of the famous props of pictures, gathered together by Harry Crocker, who, when he isn't collecting, is Charlie Chaplin's assistant. The Crocker Museum is on Sunset Boulevard and open to tourists. Why go to Europe for a slant at Marie Antoinette's slipper when you may go to California to see Chaplin's complete and original outfit, Bill Hart's first pair of leather chaps, John Gilbert's uniform in The Big Parade, scenes from prehistoric biograph pictures, Harold Lloyd's glasses, and the dress that Lillian Gish once wore with a scarlet letter sewed on it. In fact, in Mr. Crocker's museum, you can see everything but Catalina on a clear day. General view of Mr. Crocker's new heaven for movie-mad tourists in Hollywood. Here are assembled some relics that will recall your favorite moments in the theater. Nearly all the great pictures and stars are represented by some memento. In the glass case are Chaplin's original derby and Keaton's pancake hat. The articles themselves are of small value, but many of them have been the means of building up large fortunes, and all of them are known wherever movies are shown. Lena Basquette and Huntley Gordon, visitors to the museum, pause a moment to pay sentimental tribute to the funny little wagon of Street Angel. All the exhibits are plainly labeled. Here is one museum that children will cry for: the Argentinian carriage used by Douglas Fairbanks in The Gaucho. This prop will give you a good idea of the solid construction of the articles used in the movies, even though the camera may catch them for only a fleeting moment. That hysterical sequence from The Gold Rush, when the cabin tottered on the brink of destruction, is represented by the actual model used by Charlie Chaplin. Notice the tiny doll hanging on the door. That's Charlie in miniature. Also notice the size of the scene compared with Miss Basquette and Mr. Gordon. The Toonerville trolley of Merry-Go-Round. The only picture that von Stroheim didn't take years to finish because he didn't finish it. Cornering the Sister Market. 6 famous pairs who sing Tra-La and dance Hey Hey in a new review. Photoplay, December 1929. In The Show of Shows, Warner Brothers' mammoth aggregation of cinematic marvels and motion picture mastodons, the famous sister acts of the screen warble their prettiest and point their toes. 1, 2. Here are pictures of 6 of the 15 or 30 Star-Spangled Sister teams who will make the fans forget the old crack about good things coming singly. Each pair will wear the native costume of a different nation, and taken all together, they will spell Hollywood in a great big international way. Over this colossal collection of native and foreign beauty, Mr. Richard Barthelmess, accompanied by his best boyish blush, will preside as screen master of ceremonies. This is undoubtedly one of the ace numbers of the review, which contains everybody from John Profile Barrymore to the littlest and most freckled bat boy on the lot. Now, if they could guarantee us Lillian and Dorothy Gish doing a hot black bottom, the world would be a better place to live and love in. Glorifying Old Glory's little girls. Dolores and Helene Costello, who glorified the photoplay way back when screen silence was considered golden, add their scintillating bit to the singy, dancey talkie. The top of the morning to you, sister. Molly O'Day and Sally O'Neill, a couple of captivating Colleens who do a sisterly turn in this big review. They jig, they sing, and they smile with those Irish eyes. 2 cute Dutch dolls, sisters Shirley Mason and Viola Donna. We can't be certain, but they probably sing a song of windmills, tulip time in Holland, and the course of true love in the land of the Zooey der Zee. The prettiest girl in Hollywood, some say, and her pretty sister. Loretta Young, Wright, and Sister Sally Blaine as the French sisters. Loretta and Grant Withers are reported on the verge of marriage. What verge? Just 2 little bohemian girls, trying to get along. You know the days, Alice, Left, and Marceline. As representatives of the land of Pilsner beer and beautiful skies, they'll do their bit in the big show. And now for Rule Britannia. As representatives of the mother country, we have Adame and Alberta Vaughn, reading from left to right. You know Alberta, and Sister Adame is an up-and-coming young player. Hollywood's 400 Club. Photoplay, February 1926. Here are the first pictures of Hollywood's new and ultra-exclusive 400 Club. The directors of the club purchased a luxurious Japanese mansion situated on a high hill overlooking all Hollywood, which has long been world famous. The place was created originally by the Bernheimer brothers, millionaire importers of Oriental goods. They had spent years and a fortune in collecting art treasures from the Far East, but when one of the brothers died recently, the other sold the estate. The grounds consist of 12 acres, landscaped in the Oriental manner and dotted with age-old shrines and statues brought from China and Japan. In one corner of the gardens, there is a miniature but complete Japanese village. The 400 Club, whose membership is exclusively prominent motion picture people, will make extensive improvements, involving a total expenditure of $2,500,000. On either side of the building here shown, wings will be built. One wing will house a theater and the other a spacious ballroom. A large swimming pool will be constructed in the foreground. The riding stables will be in the rear. The trail, shown in the picture, winds for miles through the Hollywood Hills. The tea house of the club is decorated in the manner of old Japan. The tapestry and other furnishings are antiques collected in the Orient. This is the women's lounge. The men's lounge, directly off the entrance hall, is riotous with color. Soft silks cover even the window frames, and the furnishings are of priceless teak wood. The club boasts several bedrooms as luxurious as the one shown in the oval. The bed is a splendid example of Japanese hand carving, while the Japanese prints are the sort for which collectors die. The main building, below, constructed around this beautiful patio, has a porch which runs its entire length, and which will be used as an outdoor tea room. The antique bronze figure in the foreground is another collector's jewel. Below is the main building, reached by one of the largest stairways in the world, only a small part of which is shown in the picture. To this building, wings will be added. The porch will be turned into an open-air restaurant. Inside the Battle Line at Hollywood. Photoplay, June 1922. The siege of Hollywood has been on for a year. In the good old days, they built stone walls and moats around cities to withstand attacks. When the city fell, the invaders sacked it of treasure, put the defenders to death, and carried off the women as slaves. Today, the scandal-mongering newspapers, reinforced by professional reformers, use poison gas and ruin the reputations of decent men and women, in the hope of carrying off rich reward in the shape of increased circulation and self-advertising. Poor Hollywood, the modern Sodom and Gomorrah, the world's wickedest city. And by the way, here's something the newspapers are not serving up in headlines. That the Los Angeles police are convinced that William D. Taylor was assassinated by a gang of drug peddlers and bootleggers, such as ply their trade in every large city, whom he was trying to put out of business. Hollywood's Main Street, the boulevard named after it. On the right, observe the newest Hollywood skyscraper. Reverend Neil Dodd, the favorite clergyman of the motion picture industry, who has married scores of actors and actresses in real-life weddings as well as film ones. The Hollywood Hotel, which has housed as many or more film and literary celebrities than any other hostelry in the world. Among those who have lived there are Mary Pickford, Douglas Fairbanks, Thomas Magan, May Allison, Eleanor Glynn, Gloria Swanson, the Talmadges, Sir Gilbert Parker, Mary Roberts Reinhardt, and Somerset Maugham. The Hollywood's fame is worldwide. The Armstrong Carlton Cafe, familiarly known as the Blue Front, where most of the film stars lunch. The little group snapped in the doorway includes the director, George Melford, Mae Bush, star, and Hezi Tate, director, who paused a moment for the cameraman. The interior of the Blue Front, any day at noon. If you look closely, you will see Tommy Magan, Conrad Nagel, Lois Wilson, and Larry Wheat lunching together. Ruddy Valentino is over in a corner. The Garden Court Apartments on Hollywood Boulevard, the largest and most beautiful apartment house in Hollywood. It has been the home of many screen celebrities because of its convenient location and its unpretentious, home-like atmosphere, inviting after a hard day's work. Nice Babies. Photoplay, December 1926. Just a few of the reasons why the stars believe that there's no place like home. Be sure, says Earl Williams to Joan Constance, to slow down at crossings and signal for curves. Joan is 2.5 years old. She does not believe in bobbed hair. James Kirkwood, Jimmy Jr., and Lila Lee. Jimmy is the life of every kid's party in Hollywood, just a man about town. Movie babies get used to strange beards on familiar faces. Daddy's whiskers don't frighten young Mary Hay Barthelmess. She has Felix to protect her, proving that no man is a star to his daughter. Mr. and Mrs. Dustin Farnham may be great shakes in the studio, but they're just a couple of slaves to Estelle. Sally Ann Rawlinson inherited her father's winning smile. Sally Ann is hoping for a little brother or sister to play with, and very often those rash wishes come true. Faith Evelyn Brooke was born in England and Clive Jr. in America. "Cheerio," says Faith. "So's your old man," answers Clive Jr. Of course, you recognize Reginald Denny. But which is the wife and which is the daughter? The Clara Bowish flapper is Mrs. Denny, and the slightly smaller child is 10-year-old Barbara.